and this is a guide about how to win with white against the modern and Pirc defense. The modern defense, after knight c3, black takes bishop g7, and then you have a6 and b5 or c6 and b5. So that's a very classic way. The knight usually goes to f6, therefore that would transpose into the Pirc defense, right? Very aggressive system for black. So what is the best way to proceed with white? Here we go. In the system I recommend for white, queen d2, bishop e3, f3, and last but not least, you play h2, h4. I'm gonna try to open the h file and play against g6 and bishop g7, the modern defense, and the bishop fianchetto. So how do we go about that? What are the first move you play? Here you go. You play e4, then d4, then knight c3, and on move 4, bishop e3. And who plays this system, you may ask? Well, here we go. The top players in the world all have played bishop e3 as white. Okay? And then, what are the main ideas we're gonna go over in 4 games? Black can play a6 and block you by playing h7, h5. That's the first board. On the second board, black lets you play h4, h5 as white. Third board, they play c6 and they block you with h7, h5. And last, they play c6, but you're gonna be able to play h4 and then h5. So here we go, 4 different games, 4 different ways to win quickly with white. And let's go see the first game. In our starting position, black tried a6, we play h4, and black blocks us with h5, preventing us to opening the h file. So now we continue. Very classic and simple chess here, and after b5 we'll play f3. Now the most logical move for black is knight bd7. But if black were to push b4, you would just move your knight, and here you would do knight h3, like in the game, coming to g5. And if black were to take your knight, you take with the pawn. And the reason for that is knight f4, rook g1, you would have very aggressive sacks to attack the black king. So knight bd7 is the best move for black. You play knight h3, and now g5. The knight on g5 is an excellent square because black has played h7, h5. They can play h7, h6 to move your knight. So in other words, that knight here is a fantastic outpost, and you have a great game with white. Let me show you a classic game. Now the knight goes on e2, and after c5, you play knight g3. And you're threatening to open and take and play rook g1, you're first to attack. If black takes, like in the game, h5. And now all your pieces come to life, and you have a winning attack. That h5, you take, and you have opened the h file. So let me show you knight f6 played. You play queen h2 because if the rook is taken, you're gonna have an attack on h7. So let's say on b3, I'm just gonna show you a simple line. Here, you completely win. If black tries to counterattack, you have rook h1, you're tripling on the h file. So you're completely winning. So just remember h5 here with a winning position attacking the black king. Let's go to the next game. In here we have a different move order, but in this game here, black doesn't play h7, h5. So let's see how the game unfolds. And here we play h5 ourselves. So that's very aggressive. Black has a lot of move here. If black takes b4, simply knight e2, and the knight will go to g3. So that's very good for white. If black takes like that, simply bishop h6, you exchange the bishop and you're threatening queen g5 with a checkmate. If black takes with a knight, then simply bishop h6, knight e2, and again you do g4 followed by knight g3. That's a very nice position. And if I were to go very quickly here, what is the key move in this position? Queen h2. Once again, just like in game 1, we're threatening at some point to take on g7 and checkmating the poor black king. So after h5, no matter what you try, it's very, very hard for black to defend. So black try rook e8, you play g4, and after knight bd7, this is all logical, you do queen h2. Now black can try to do e5 and trying to open for counterplay, but you push d5, no counterplay for black. And after these moves, we on move 15th, and here simply rook d6 with a winning position. Your extra material, you put on g5, you can play knight g2, g3, and black has no counter chances. So in this game, after rook d6, I stop right there. This is an overwhelming position for white. So now, if I were to summarize the first two games to smash the modern, this would be the summary. In game 1, we had a wonderful knight on g5 because black blocked us with h7, h5. And on game 2 on your right, we play h5 with a very quick attack along the h5. So this is all fine when black play a6, but what is happening if black play c6? And now we have a second set of games, still starting from the same position. So black castle, white castle long, c6, and b5. This structure, very popular for black, and that's gonna be a very tense game with both sides trying to win with a direct attack. h4, and now, of course, we're trying to play h4, h5. So black most likely will try to block you with that move. And now, very important, knight e2. That knight somehow is gonna come to g3 to help you open up. So let's say knight bd7, we go g4. Very important, and here we're gonna look if black takes. Now, if black were to ignore you, you do knight g3, and once again, you're having attacking chances right away. If black try to attack first, then you take that knight, take on h5, and here you play bishop h6. Very logical, and you're gonna have a winning attack. You're striking first. So now on g4, we saw that knight b6 wasn't so good for black. So let's see if black takes. Now we do knight g3 with a very simple idea, h4, h5. So black took, we play h5, knight g4 attacking e3, we play bishop g5. Now the game continues like that. You play knight f3, and after knight h7, bishop f4, I'm going to continue just a few more moves, queen g2, and you have a winning attack. In the game continues like that, but here you have very strong attack because you're going to have rook g1 coming, knight h4, and taking on g6. You can see that you attack here with a rook, with a queen, with a pawn is well ahead. While black's attack, right, needs a4, b4, c5, a3, it's 4 moves away. So in other words, when you play g4 here, you're the first one to attack here, and black is lagging in the attack. Now let's see another game. And in this game, once again, we see c6, but this time black tried to avoid blocking you on the king side and instead play b4 right away. Now queen a5, that's a good move because that's attacking a2. You have to play king b1 and then c5. So now you play h5, and once again, who's faster? Is it black trying to attack your king, or is it white trying to attack on the h file? And I will show you how to get it done. c4, take, knight f4. Now black plays c3, queen e1, and you can see that your queen is going to come to h4. This h file is a great way to attack for white. And here, excellent move, you play b3. Because if the black queen were to come here, you will always have bishop c1 covering b2. So how the game would unfold, I'm going a bit further here, but here you're trying to come in to g5. So if knight b6 were to be played, boom, d5, followed by knight g5, attacking here, going there, you're crashing through. In the game, e6 is played, and g5, and here, boom, you're attacking and destroying the position. So you're completely winning here with a winning attack, and every time the queen comes to a3, you play bishop c1, the queen moves, and then you pursue your attack on the king side. So that's how with h5, this is a tense and very sharp game, but with h5 and taking on g6, you have the edge. This is a summary of game 3 and game 4. On your left side, you play knight e2, and the knight's gonna come to g3, you're gonna play g4 and open up the king side. On the right side, black tried to play queen a5 and c5, and you're opening the h file and going for checkmate. So very sharp, but definitely white is in a driver's seat. And now we're almost done, but I'd like to show you one more idea. And this is what I call a tricky move order. You can see here in this new move order, black plays c6, but they don't play knight f6, and they attack you on the queen side right away. So they're delaying castle and delaying knight f6. And here you have to play g4. So let's see how this goes. And here we go. In this game, queen d2, b5, f3. And here, black doesn't go for knight f6 and castle, but play knight d7. So they want to keep the king in the center and starting to attack you directly right there. So here you do not castle with white, and I know that I say we will do h4, but in this game, in this move order, you're playing g4 first. Now knight b6, that's the plan for black, and only now you play h4. You're trying to play h4, h5, so black has to play h5, because if you were to play h6, you play b3, followed by knight e2, and you're gonna have the best position. So here h5, you take, black takes, and here very important, you like to play knight e2, f4, or g3, but first you have to play b3, because you don't want that knight to come here and attack you. So here, let's say on a5, you can simply play knight e2, or in this position on queen c7, you can play knight e2 like that, and you have the best options. So here, the best move for black would be bishop h6. Now, I would say you could simply do something like knight e2, and on e5, you would take, followed by long castle. And this is a very complex game, but if black try to win material, you're gonna have a lot of counterplay because the king here is left in the center and the king cannot hide. So maybe the best bet for the king is to hide on f8, but queen d6 is coming and you're gonna win back your pawn with dividends. But still, I want to alert you that the best plan for black in this move order in a modern defense is to delay any kind of castle and play on the queen side, and that's the system I recommend, like that, being very aggressive up front, and simply after all that you play castle a little bit later and b3 to have a solid position. Nevertheless, you're better in this fifth and last game, and overall I have covered all the key ideas about how to win with white using queen d2 and bishop e3 setup against the modern defense and the Pirc defense. Feel free to leave me your comments and your ideas in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.